Benny, the Kid, Parrott. The last fight between Parrott and Griffith was the subject of many controversies. It is theorized that one of the reasons Parrott died was that he was vulnerable due to the beatings he took in his previous 3 fights, all of which happened within 12 months of each other. New York State boxing authorities were criticized for giving Parrott clearance to fight just several months after the Fulmer fight. The actions of Parrott at the weigh-in before his final fight have come under scrutiny. The referee Ruby Goldstein, a respected veteran, came under criticism for not stopping the fight sooner. It has been argued that Goldstein hesitated because of Parrott's reputation of feigning injury and Griffith's reputation as a poor finisher. 5-7. Another theory is that Goldstein was afraid that Parrott's supporters would riot. 7. The incident, combined with the death of Davey Moore a year later for a different injury in the ring, would cause debate as to whether boxing should be considered a sport. Boxing would not be televised on a regular basis again until the 1970s. 10. The fight marked the end of Goldstein's long and respected career as a referee, as he was unable to find work after that. Ironically enough, a criticism of Goldstein that stemmed from early in his career and followed him throughout was that he was regarded as an official who tended to stop fights too early, as opposed to this fight where he was criticized for not stopping the fight in time to save the fallen Parrott. Oscar Gonzalez was a Mexican professional boxer. During his career, he fought at super bantamweight and featherweight. Gonzalez fought as a professional from 2007 until 2014, with a career record of 23 wins against 3 defeats. His nickname was Fantasma, which is the Spanish word for ghost. His promoter was Box Latino, the same company that promoted Erik Morales. On February 1, 2014, Gonzalez took on Jess Galisha in a bout for the WBC Latino Silver Featherweight Championship at Foro Scotiabank Forum, in the Polanco district of Mexico City, a bout that was televised across Mexico and Latin America by Televisa. Favored to win against the 12-7 Galisha, Gonzalez was beaten by a knockout in the 10th round of the scheduled 12-rounder and suffered severe brain damage. He fell into an almost immediate coma after the fight, and by the time he reached a local hospital, brain death had occurred. On February 3, Gonzalez was pronounced dead at the age of 23. Omar Alonso Ch. Vez Carrasco, born January 4, 1990 in Culiacán, Sinaloa, Mexico, is a Mexican boxer and the current WBC Youth Intercontinental Welterweight Champion. He's the son of legendary boxing champion Julio Cesar Ch. Vez and brother of former WBC middleweight champion, Julio Cesar Ch. Vez, Jr. On December 16, 2006, when Ch. Vez was 16 years old, he began his professional career, beating fellow debutant Jess Gargay with a first-round knockout on the undercard, which included his brother Julio in their native Culiacán. He won his next 5 straight fights in just over a year, 4 of which by knockout. Omar is signed with Bob Arum's Top Rank. On July 18, 2009, Ch. Vez, for the second time, would face Marco Antonio Nazareth, who had won 4 and lost 3 coming into their bout. In the 4th round, Nazareth had received many heavy blows and the referee decided to stop the fight. As Nazareth sat on his stool, he collapsed. He was rushed to the local hospital where he underwent a 3-hour operation to treat a cerebral hemorrhage, but he died 4 days later. Dennis Munson Jr. On March 28, amateur kickboxer Dennis Munson Jr. successfully made weight for his debut fight, a 3-round bantamweight match up against fellow fighting newcomer Michael Vang later that evening. The Fusport-trained kickboxer entered the ring at the Eagles Club in Milwaukee to compete in the Duke Rufus-owned Rufus-run North American Fighting Championship, NAFC. 5 hours later he would be pronounced dead at the Aurora Sinai Medical Center. The fight began at 6:50 p.m. The opening round was competitive, but heading into the second frame, Munson began to display clear signs of distress that went unnoticed by the referee, his cornerman and the ringside physician. Mace Bryant, Munson's mother, told the Journal-Sentinel that she blames the referee. the doctor and the coaches for the loss of her son. After the second round, Munson staggered his way back to the corner. He sat on the stool and slumped over. He had trouble standing, and Scott Cushman, Fussport's longtime head striking instructor, pushed Munson's head up and his shoulders back. Joe Nichols of Fussport was also in the corner. The fight should have stopped way before he went back into the second round. David S. Davy Moore, November 1, 1933, March 25, 1963, was an American world featherweight champion boxer who fought professionally 1953–1963. A resident of Springfield, Ohio, Moore was one of two champions to share the name in the second half of the 20th century. The second, Davy Moore, born 1959, boxed during the 1980s. Davy Moore died on March 25, 1963, as a result of injuries sustained in a match against Sugar Ramos. Moore was scheduled to face Cuban-Mexican Sugar Ramos in July 1962 at Dodger Stadium, but a torrential typhoon-like rainstorm hit Los Angeles on the night of the fight, and the fight was postponed until March 21, 1963. It was shown on national television. In the 10th round, Ramos staggered Moore with a left and then continued to pummel him with blows until he fell, striking the base of his neck on the bottom rope and injuring his brain stem. Moore got to his feet for the 8 count and, despite Ramos' continuing attack, somehow managed to finish the round on his feet, but the referee stopped the fight before the 11th, and Ramos was declared the new WBC/BAR World Featherweight Champion. Moore was able to give a clear-headed interview before he left the ring, but in the dressing room fell into a coma from which he never emerged, dying 75 hours later. 1. There was existing public controversy due to the death of Benny Kid Parrott 1 year before, and Moore's death prompted debate about the dangers of boxing and the possibility of the sport being banned in the United States.
相手の国に乗り込んでタイトルを統一していますホルヘ・アルセ。これで韓国は世界チャンピオンがこの時点でいなくなりました。メキシコの暫定チャンピオンが韓国に乗り込みましてチェ・ヨサムを下しています。 WBC 世界ライトフライ級のチャンピオンがホルヘ・アルセとなっています。
He moved up in weight to take on Lorenzo Parra for the bar flyweight title and lost a decision. On December 25, 2007, he successfully defended the World Intercontinental Flyweight title with a
コーナーに押し込んでレフェリーのストップを呼び込んだシーンです。
호세 아르세 선수에게 챔피언 인정서가 수여되겠습니다.
beat the count and went on to win the fight.
韓国のお客さんも湧きどころを失ったようになります。まあそこそこの湧き方はありましたけれども、完全ないつものような津波のような湧き方は見せることができませんでした。チャンピオンがいなくなっています。
and died on January 3, 2008, when he was removed from a ventilator. Les Sang made a song dedicated to him in their 5th album called Champion. John Richard Owens, 7th of January 1956, 4th of November 1980, was a professional boxer from Wales who fought under the name Johnny Owen. His fragile appearance earned him many epithets, including the Bionic Bantam and the Merthyr Matchstick. During his brief career, he held the Bantamweight Championships of Great Britain and Europe and became the first ever Welsh holder of the Bantamweight Championship of the Commonwealth. He challenged champion Lou Pinter for his version of the World Bantamweight title on September 19, 1980, losing a torturously difficult contest by way of 12th round knockout. Owen never regained consciousness, fell into a coma and died 7 weeks later. A statue commemorating his life and career was unveiled in Merthyr Tydfil in 2002. Final bout and death, a Mexican slugger, Lou Pinter had edged a controversial split decision over stablemate and longtime champion Carlos Zarate to lay claim to his WBC World Bantamweight title. Zarate retired in disgust, but Pinter proved to be a worthy successor and few rated Owen's chances when they came together at the Grand Olympic Auditorium, Los Angeles on 19th of September 1980. Despite the difference in the fighters' frames, Owen held his own against the assertive champion. When the bell rang to signal the end of the 8th round, most observers had the Welshman ahead, but he was tiring fast and, in the 9th, suffered the first knockdown of his professional career. The momentum of the whole fight moved in the champion's direction, and from the 10th round Pinter was in the ascendancy. Misfortune came with 25 seconds of the 12th round still to go. A final right sent Owen to the canvas and Pinter had retained his title. Following the knockout, Owen lay flat on his back for 5 minutes and he was then taken out. The promoter's insurance paid about $94,000 in medical costs, but did not pay any death benefits to survivors. Owen, whom it transpired had an unusually delicate skull, never regained consciousness and, despite extensive surgery, fell into a coma. He was pronounced dead on 4th of November 1980, aged 24. Owen's family, far from blaming the world champion, telegraphed him shortly after their loss and encouraged him to go on fighting. 20 years later, a memorial to Johnny Owen was unveiled in Merthyr Tydfil. At the request of the late fighter's father, the unveiling was performed by Luke Pinter. The statue was sculpted by James Dunn. Levander Johnson, December 24, 1969, September 22, 2005, was an American lightweight boxer from Atlantic City, New Jersey, who once held the International Boxing Federation version of the world title. He won the title on June 17, 2005, against the Italian fighter Stefano Zoff, winning after the referee stopped the fight in the 7th round. Johnson made his debut as a professional boxer in 1989 following a successful amateur career, during which he fought in over 130 contests. As a professional he quickly built on his reputation as a top prospect by remaining undefeated after his first 22 contests, one of which was drawn. His next fight was against another highly rated youngster, Shambar Mitchell, who was also undefeated as a professional. Johnson won the fight, earning himself his first world title shot, by knocking his opponent out in the 8th round. The world title fight came on August 6, 1994 against Miguel Angel Gonzalez for the WBC lightweight crown. The fight, which was fought in Ciudad Juárez, Mexico, ended with Johnson suffering his first loss as a professional, the fight being stopped in the 8th round. Johnson got his second world title shot in May 1997, this time challenging Orzubek Nazarov for the bar version of the lightweight world title. Johnson's challenge once again proved unsuccessful as the fight was stopped in the 7th round for his second loss. He did not fight in another World Championship fight for 6.5 years after this, during which time he lost once more after he was disqualified for headbutting Michael Clark during a contest in Atlantic City. After losing to Javier Jauregui in a fight for the vacant IBF world title in November 2003, he only fought once in the 18 months after before getting another shot at the IBF crown, against Zoff. Johnson won the fight, in what proved to be the highlight of his career. Johnson's career record was 34 wins, 26 by KO, 5 losses, 2 draws, and 1 no contest. Johnson defended his title for the first time on September 17, 2005, against Mexican fighter Jesse Chavez. The fight was stopped early in the 11th round after Johnson received a barrage of punches from his opponent. Despite being able to leave the ring under his own momentum, he collapsed in his dressing room shortly afterwards. He was rushed to the hospital and had emergency surgery to correct a subdural hematoma, swelling and bleeding on the brain. Following the surgery, Johnson was placed in a drug-induced coma. Despite initial fears that he would not survive the night even after the surgery, he survived into the next week and was showing some early signs of improvement, but still remained in critical condition. However, his condition stopped improving and on September 22, 2005, it was decided to discontinue efforts to artificially prolong his life. He was pronounced dead at 4:23 p.m. BDT surrounded by his family, too. Kim Duk-chi, January 8, 1955, November 18, 1982, was a South Korean boxer who died following a World Championship boxing match against Trey Mancini. His death sparked a number of reforms in the sport aimed to better protect the health of fighters, including reducing the number of rounds in championship bouts from 15 to 12. Kim was likely regarded by the American boxing establishment, but not by Ray Mancini, who believed the fight would be a war. Kim struggled to lose weight in the days prior to the bout so that he could weigh in under the lightweight's 135-pound limit. Before the fight, Kim was quoted as saying, "Either he dies or I die." He wrote the message, "Live or die," on his Las Vegas hotel lampshade only days before the bout. A mistaken translation led to "kill or be killed" being reported in the media. Mancini and Kim met in an arena outside Caesars Palace on November 13, 1982. Mancini and Kim went toe-to-toe for a good portion of the bout, to the point that Mancini briefly considered quitting. Kim tore open Mancini's left ear and puffed up his left eye, and Mancini's left hand swelled to twice its normal size. After the fight, Mancini's left eye would be completely closed. However, by the latter rounds, Mancini began to dominate, landing many more punches than Kim did. In the 11th he buckled Kim's knees. In the beginning of the 13th round, Mancini charged Kim with a flurry of 39 punches, but had little effect. Sugar Ray Leonard, working as one of the commentators of the fight, said Kim came right back very strong. Leonard later declared the round to be closely contested. When the fighters came out for the 14th round, Mancini charged forward and hit Kim with a right. Kim reeled back, Mancini missed with a left, and then Mancini hit Kim with another hard right hand. Kim went flying into the ropes, his head hitting the canvas. Kim managed to rise unsteadily to his feet, but referee Richard Green stopped the fight and Mancini was declared the winner by TKO 19 seconds into the 14th round. Ralph Wiley of Sports Illustrated, covering the fight, would later recall Kim pulling himself up the ropes as he was dying, "one of the greatest physical feats I had ever witnessed." Minutes after the fight was over, Kim collapsed into a coma, and was removed from the Caesars Palace Arena on a stretcher and taken to the Desert Springs Hospital. At the hospital he was found to have a subdural hematoma consisting of 100 cc of blood in his skull. Emergency brain surgery was performed at the hospital to try to save him, but that effort proved to be futile, and Kim died 4 days after the bout, on November 18. The neurosurgeon said it was caused by one punch. The week after, Sports Illustrated published a photo of the fight on its cover, under the heading "Tragedy in the Ring." The profile of the incident was heightened by the fight having been televised live by CBS in the United States. Kim had never fought a 15-round bout before. In contrast, Mancini was much more experienced at the time. He had fought 15-round bouts 3 times and gone on to round 14 once before. Kim compiled a record of 17 wins with 2 losses and 1 draw. 8 of Kim's wins were knockouts. Russian light heavyweight Roman Simakov has died at the age of 27 after being knocked out and put in a coma during a WBC Asian title fight. The Russian Boxing Federation, RBF, announced on Thursday. Simakov had to be carried from the ring on a stretcher after a 7th-round knockout by compatriot Sergey Kovalev in their fight in Yekaterinburg on Monday. He fell into a coma and was taken to hospital, but the doctors were not able to revive him, the RBF said in a brief statement on their website. Simakov was knocked down in the 6th round by Kovalev, 28, but got back to his feet, only to be sent to the canvas again in the following round. The RIA Novosti news agency reported that a post-mortem would take place to establish the precise cause of death. Simakov, who began his career in 2008, won 9